Hello, everyone. My name is Thomas Smith. I'm the head of business development at Netcapital. Let's give everyone a few moments here to get settled in. All right, this is great. Give everyone a few more moments here, and then we have a couple of items to go through before we get going. And while folks are coming in, just want to thank everyone for joining us. We're very excited for our January 2023 demo day, as we are joined by the leadership of three fantastic companies and three companies that I've personally worked with and had the pleasure of working with each of these founders. Today we have Steve Wilcenski, who is the founder and CEO of BN Nano, Tim Alatorre, founder, COO, and CFO of Orbital Assembly, and Brooks Bash, CEO of O2 Boost, and Leslie Peters, who is the president of O2 Boost. Before we get started, I just do want to touch upon a few housekeeping items and what we're going to be, the format really of today. As with all of our companies that we host our demo days with, each of the companies are actively fundraising on Netcapital right now. You can invest in any of them by visiting netcapital.com and searching each of these exciting companies. Next, I do want to mention that we do want this demo day to be interactive as possible, and it's why we've structured the format like we have. So please, when asking questions, use the Q&A function, not the chat, but the Q&A. Send your questions, and when it's time, we'll be asking and answering many of them. Lastly, the format of today's demo day is as follows. Each company will be presenting for 5 minutes, and it will be followed by a 5-minute Q&A, which is why if we could use that Q&A function, it just helps me stay more organized, and we can go through the questions with each of these founders and executives. While the companies are presenting, I will drop the company's investment link in the chat box that will be sent to anyone who is tuning in live right now. After the three companies have presented and the questions are asked, there will be a 2-minute final thought for each company on why someone should consider investing in their company today. And with that, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce Steve, founder and CEO of BN Nano. Steve, I know we've worked together over the last couple of years, and specifically in the last few months on this raise. So my absolute pleasure to welcome you in here. Why don't you get on in and tell everyone about the great work that you and the team at BN Nano are doing.
I appreciate that, and thank you very much. And good afternoon, everybody. I'm excited to talk to you guys today to give you, a little bit of a story about where we started and where we are today. And when we began BN Nano, our goal was to bring nanotechnology, the promise of nanotechnology, to our everyday lives, not next year, not 10 years down the road, but today or tomorrow. And what we wanted to do is we wanted to pull it from the laboratory and push it into the factories as soon as possible, because that's something that's really been, it's not been a part of nanotech. We haven't accomplished that really to date. And the first step that we took was to fully commercialize our core materials technology. And what we make is a unique form of a boron nitride nanotube. We branded it the nanobarb. It is unique. It is patented. It is exclusively ours. It is something that we completely developed all in-house. And we're quite proud of that. And when we developed this technology, we not only focused on the material itself, but on the business. We wanted to make sure we could produce something at a low cost. We wanted to be sure we could produce it in high volumes. And we wanted to make it easy to use, because fundamentally what you do with a material like ours is you add it to other things to make them stronger, to make them better, to give them more value. So it's got to be easy to use. And that's been a challenge that has plagued nanotechnology for a long time. I'm happy to say over the years, we've been very successful at that. We have fully commercialized this material. We sell it around the world. We have world-class customers. We sell to people like the Navy. We sell to NASA. We sell to organizations around the world. We have representation in Europe. We have representation in Asia to help us sell it, to help us get it out of the laboratory and into the factory. But while we have been successful in making a material that's easier to use and is more cost-effective, you still have to be a nanoscientist or a nanoengineer to really understand or to get the full benefits from this material. So commercializing it was step one. It was our first step. It was the development of this core materials technology, our platform, if you will, to springboard and launch into other products that can address other markets more easily. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to produce a new line of products that we could just hand to our customers and would essentially be a drop-in replacement for what they're doing today, something that wouldn't require that nano expertise. And we started with metals and polymers. So what we've done with in the metal space is we work with aluminum, right? We have developed what we call an aluminum master alloy. This is a powdered aluminum that is added to molten aluminum during the alloying process to create enhanced alloys. And what we've been able to demonstrate is we've been able to almost double the strength of different alloys, effectively helps improve the mechanical properties of any alloy that we add it to. But it still does require a metallurgical expert. So we did produce something that metallurgists can use as a drop-in replacement, but it didn't fully reach that goal of getting it out of the laboratory and into the factories as soon as possible. So we also have the work that we've done in polymers. And what we do in polymers is in our factory in Burlington, North Carolina, where we do everything, we compound our materials into common polymers like nylon and polycarbonate, and we turn them into engineering grade materials. These are materials that are being used for things like space and aerospace and automotive and defense. And we have these in two forms. The first form is a pellet that's used for injection molding, and the second is a filament that's used for 3D printing. And these have proven to be drop-in replacements. When our customers like True Velocity, who takes our material and does injection molding, when they take our product that we send them, they use it exactly like they've done everything else. So they don't have to have any nano expertise. When our partners in the 3D space, like Inosec out of New York, print with our filaments, they don't have to do anything different. In fact, they've told us that it actually works better. It's a little bit easier to use. It enables the ability to use an engineering grade material almost on a hobbyist level 3D printer. So it's a really exciting way to grow and expand these markets. So this has been something that's been really exciting for us. We released these products Q3 of last year, and we've had a lot of success. We've had a lot of great feedback, and we are also very close to making some announcements on strategic partnerships to improve our capabilities and capacities to further grow this side of the business. So we expanded our markets. We're able to get things into our customers' hands faster. We're pulling from the laboratory into the factory, but we didn't want to stop there either. What we wanted to do is go back to what we fundamentally believe, and that is we can change the world with material science. And we've been confronted with an opportunity where we truly can change the world. And this is taking us up another level beyond the drop-in replacements, but to the system level. And what we're doing is we're cleaning water, believe it or not. Our material has been proven. We've done it ourselves, where there's been some government agencies that have proven it, and some academic institutions have shown that boron nitride nanotubes, and specifically the boron nitride nanobarbs that we produce, can remove forever chemicals from water. You may not know what forever chemicals are. If you don't, do a quick Google search. I think you'll be amazed, surprised, and maybe a little bit frightened at how prevalent they are. They're around the world. They're very hard to get rid of. Very, very small amounts have been determined to be hazardous to humans by the EPA and by other organizations. But what we're doing is we are creating a next generation of materials by using our core technology of the nanobarb and integrating them into things for filters and for membranes and for media to remove these materials. And we're really excited to announce we've taken this opportunity so seriously, and it's so large, and it's just the right thing to do, that we formed a new group. It's called Invicta Water. And today we're publicly stating that we formed this organization and part of BN Nano to where we're going to be focused on developing these systems to help improve water supplies around the world. It's hard to imagine something that can change the world and as important as that. And as we've gone through this journey, to kind of give you an idea of where we started to where we are now, this has always been grounded really in three things. It's been grounded in what we know, what we think, and what we believe. And what we know is we know our material works. We know that it does phenomenal things. It improves everything that we put it in. We have feedback from customers across many markets to support that. We know we have a patent, so it's ours. It's protected. It's unique. We're the only ones that can make it. We know we can make it in very high volumes at very low cost. And we know we have world-class customers, so we're very excited about where we're going. What we think, What we think as we continue to move above that core technology and we develop these new products, that it will be integrated faster. We will be able to pull it out of the laboratory into the factories at accelerated rates. And as we share more results and as our customers talk about what they're doing, we're very hopeful that we can grow exponentially over the next few years. And then what we believe exactly what we did when we started the company, but with even more confidence. We believe we can truly change the world through material science and through the products that we're developing and selling here at BN Nano. Thank you.
Steve, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. And personally, it's been great to see what the company's been able to accomplish over the past couple of years and, year over year, just, some of the milestones that you're hitting. We've had a number of questions come in, and I want to take the first one. Steve, it looks like this person went to the offering page and then your target markets, the nanomaterials, the additive manufacturing, and the lightweighting.
Yes.
The question is, with those target markets, are you putting one in front of the other, or have you made progress? Two-part question. Progress with one over the other two? Are you going on side by side? And then secondarily, personally, what are you most excited about with those markets?
So we've made progress in all the areas first. So with the powder. So the powder, again, is our core technology. The powder that we use goes in many, many different markets. So why we call it raw materials is just because there's too many to list. It can be used for space, it can be used for aerospace, it can be used for additive, it can be used for automotive, a number of different things. So we sell the powder ourselves, and we also have representation around the world. For the last 3 years, we've been able to double our sales year over year of the powder itself. So that is something that we're excited by. It's a multi-billion-dollar business on its own. But it's just the foundation. And what really excites us as we go up higher. So the filaments for additive manufacturing and the polymers for injection molding is where we see a lot of growth. Those are areas where we can hand a reel of filament to anyone that knows how to 3D print in the world, and they can immediately produce engineering grade parts. And that's really exciting. And that is not only going up and getting something in their hands, but it also gets us up the value chain a little bit higher. So we're not just getting the revenues from the powder itself, but for the whole entire product. So that we have a lot of excitement. The aluminum is incredibly exciting and important to us too. That's a little bit more complex. So it's going to take a bit more time to, fully get that out of the lab and into the factory, if you will. But imagine what you could do with a spacecraft that weighed half as much. SpaceX used a lot of aluminum. What if they could use the enhanced aluminum and lighten their loads, so to speak? What if you could produce armor out of aluminum instead of steel? Imagine what you could do there. So those two areas are really exciting. But for me personally, what really excites me more than anything else is the opportunity that we have to provide clean water to everyone around the world. The forever chemicals problem is large, and there is not a solution. And the material that we make has been able to demonstrate it. We can remove it, we can remediate it from water, and we can help destroy it. And to me, the market opportunity there is immense, but it's also the right thing to do. To be able to say you had a hand in cleaning water and providing clean water for people around the world, to me, I think is more exciting than anything else.
Yeah, it's extraordinary, Steve. And then two, when you were talking about just the opportunities in space, and I know Tim's going to get in here next, but Chris asked a question that has your company done anything with carbon fiber alloys for potentially lighter construction materials that could potentially be paired with other companies like Orbital Assembly and accelerating their commercialization to space?
So yeah, we have collaborated with a number of different companies in lots of different materials. So different polymers, different carbon fiber composites, certainly, and different metals. One of the interesting things is our material as a nanomaterial, when you add it to other things, you enhance their properties. So it can become stronger, it can become tougher. But because our material also contains boron absorbs neutron radiation at a very high level. So you could incorporate that into structures, textiles, electronics. So you may not only improve the mechanical properties and additionally the thermal properties of these materials, but you can also come up with a solution for some of the challenging radiation problems that we're faced with. So the short answer is yes. The long answer is a lot of these applications are very specific. So they do require a bit of development and partnerships.
Yep. No, I think Steve, people can understand that this isn't just like snapping your fingers. It's going to happen. This takes time, which is why obviously seeking the investment to grow the product.
Absolutely.
Steve, we have time for one more quick question. It's just about graphene. Have you worked with graphene before within your business?
But we don't do anything with graphene ourselves, right? That's a carbon-based material. We have worked with some companies that do work in graphene, and that the idea there is to help add our material to what they're making to make it even stronger and make it even better. There's nothing that we do that would prevent those two materials working in combination. There are some unique aspects of what we do. Our material is electrically insulative while being thermally conductive. So there are some instances where we would not want to have any carbon at all for some of the things that we do, but it is an opportunity that we see, moving forward.
It's exciting stuff, Steve. Thank you very much. And we'll be back with you in a few minutes.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to introduce Tim Alatorre, founder, COO, and CFO of Orbital Assembly. Tim, always a pleasure to see you and speak with you and learn more about what the company's doing and their exciting journey to space.
Well, thanks for having me again. I really appreciate it. And this is actually our third time on the Netcapital platform, and I do see some of our investors in the audience. So just, thank you so much to everybody who supported us as we've been on this journey. We're not at the end destination yet, which is why we're back here on Netcapital. There's still a lot of work to be done, but we've gotten a lot accomplished. So if you think back when we first did our first Netcapital raise, since that time, our investors have helped us to get to the point where we have really developed engineering designs for our Pioneer class station. They've helped us with our D-Star. They've helped us build customer relationships. Over this last year, we have over 60 signed agreements with customers, partners, and vendors. And that's all been possible because of our investors. So to all of you, thank you so much. And for those who aren't familiar with us, thanks for joining. Hopefully today I'll give you a quick overview of what we're doing and hopefully put in some tidbits of information for people who've heard me talk a million times. Rhonda is our CEO, and she's actually really disappointed she couldn't be here today. We were trying to get her on this call, but she and I have had a chance to talk to many of our investors, and all of you bring such different perspectives and backgrounds as to why you invest in Orbital Assembly. And I think for, however many investors we have, there's probably that many reasons. And we are excited about space and the possibilities of space. But Orbital Assembly, we're founded on a couple of principles. One, we want to make space available for everybody. We believe that everyone should have the opportunity to live, work, thrive, and play in space. And also, we're founded on the idea of using near-term technologies to develop the future of space. And so, really excited to hear about the work Steve's doing. But Orbital Assembly right now is partnered with heritage providers that are using technological capabilities of today to develop profitable, versatile space platforms. So that means that we're not developing new technology. We're using flight-proven hardware, technology that's been in orbit, that's been tested, but arranging them in new ways. And so behind me we have, that way, I guess. Behind me I have our Voyager station, which is our flagship project, but that's not what we're starting off with. And I'll get to that in a second. So the problem right now with space is there's only two operating platforms where people can have interactivity with the space environment. You've got the International Space Station, which is aging, reaching its end of life. And then now we have the Chinese Tiangong Station, which is opening up new possibilities for commercial access. But understandably, there's a lot of companies that are hesitant to do work on the Chinese station, and the International Space Station isn't set up for companies to do business. So there's a tremendous backlog of people seeking access to ISS for research and development purposes, and pretty much zero opportunity for companies to actually run profitable endeavors on a crewed space platform. The cost of doing dedicated satellites, large communication satellites, are in the hundreds of millions of dollars. We have seen a revolution in CubeSat technology, but it's very limited on what you can do. And so there's this unmet demand that if you're paying attention to space at all, there's a number of companies that are scrambling to fill those gaps. One of the really interesting things I think that Orbital Assembly is doing is we're sidestepping the traditional way of getting to space, which has been through large national space agencies like NASA and JAXA and ESA. And we're going straight to the consumer, straight to our customers, asking them, what do you need? What can you pay for those services? And then working with them to make platforms on orbit. So we have a tiered, scaled approach to allow companies to do manufacturing and production on orbit, to do studies and development of technology that's headed to the moon with the Artemis program and eventually to Mars. And what that means is we have platforms such as trusses. We did a truss demonstration in California in 2021 of our truss methodology. We can produce trusses. We can produce large flat structures. We have our station in a box platform, which is we're going to be making a formal announcement of that in the coming weeks with a press release, which is a single launch space station, completely free flying, semi-autonomous in that it can operate by itself, but also has docking capabilities. So we can have crew come to that station to service experiments and manufacturing processes. And that becomes the first phase of eventually Pioneer Station, which will have artificial gravity capabilities and able to generate up to half a G of artificial gravity using a rotating environment. All of that then scales up to Voyager, which is behind me, which is a much larger platform designed for hundreds of people to be living long-term on orbit. So breaking this all down to very small bite-sized pieces where with a little bit of investment now, you can help us get to that next milestone to where we're getting those customer dollars funding the development and construction of our first platform. So the announcement we're going to be making here, and you all get a sneak peek today, is we're putting a line in the sand for our customers who want to use Pioneer Station. They have to have their requirements and their mission plans into us by September of this year if they want to fly on that phase 1 of Pioneer Station. So that means that they need to get in contact with us, get those trade studies going. We're actually going to be having a webinar specifically for the engineers of those customers. We'll be talking about the details of that Pioneer Station so they know how to interface with us and have their hardware on that Pioneer Station. So part of what we've been doing with the agreements and partnerships is working with those legacy hardware providers for construction, but also all the services that are around that. So from launch to on-orbit operations, like companies with Rogue Space, to downmassing, like companies with Stoke, really creating that end-to-end supply chain to where we're creating the whole logistical environment around doing manufacturing and commercial activities on space. So as you can imagine, this is a monumental effort, and we really are appreciative of our investors who've helped us to get those relationships and partnerships in place. And we look forward to eventually meeting all of you and seeing you in space someday. You know, part of this whole process, like I said, is making space accessible to everyone, and that means you. And I'll just mention one other thing. One of the questions we get a lot is, well, you know, what do you have on orbit? And my answer to that is our team has over 30 successful space missions of experience, and many more which they're not allowed to talk about due to security reasons. But we have experienced people who've put things on orbit, and our vendors have high TRL, which means technology readiness level, hardware that's flown and is currently flying on orbit. So putting all these pieces together, the know-how with the technology, with your funding, is what's going to make this all possible. So with that, Thomas, I guess I'll open up for questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Tim. First question is, and as you mentioned, it sounds like we have some folks that might have invested last year as well. Tim, high level, what were you most proud of that the company accomplished in 2022?
Wow, we did a lot in 2022. I think one of the biggest things we did was figure out what the market needs. We did a lot of really pounding on our business plan, revising our program of what we were going to be providing, and getting those customers lined up and developing things that they would be interested in. Just yesterday, I had a conversation with one of the big aerospace companies who's actually a CLD awardee. They just finished their market study. We are well over a year ahead of them. We're past the market study, and we're now in design mode of giving our customers what they want. So, you know, that's part of us not going to NASA as the direct and only sole source customer. Is we can be a little bit more nimble and agile and more responsive to the industry.
Appreciate that, Tim. We have Tom who asked the question, have you communicated at all with Vast Space? I didn't know if that was a term.
As a company, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so we are actively talking with a lot of different companies, and I can't divulge who we are or not in conversation with. But, you know, one thing to think about is because of our partnerships with our vendors, we see a lot of companies like Vast, Axiom, Northrop Grumman, SpaceX as our potential and future customers. And so that's the direction we're in talks with a lot of these companies is how we can support them in what they're doing and using our technologies.
And then Tim, moving through Q1 and Q2, let me just pull this up here. Without giving too much away, what can the investors and potential investors expect to see from Orbital Assembly?
Well, that all depends on the funds that we're able to raise, and
Yep.
we're not just relying on the Netcapital Reg CF. We do need more funds to get over that first threshold. Where we're at right now for Q1 and Q2 is starting fabrication of flight hardware. So we are moving right into the crewed station, that station in a box, Pioneer Phase 1, and we're hoping to kick that off and get our integration facility up and running. Also, one thing I failed to mention is our station in a box is attracting other customers who don't just want to lease space and rent from us, but actually build their own stations. And so we're in conversations right now with a couple of entities who want to buy their own stations. So hopefully we'll be kicking off production on those this year as well.
Thank you, Tim. Really appreciate that. And I know there are a couple other folks that were, wanted to get into broader questions about timeline and things like that. And to everyone on here and folks who will be listening in the future, do remember that each one of our clients does have a discussion board on Netcapital. So if you have any questions, you can ask them on there. And then when our founders do have a moment, knowing that they're extremely busy, they will get back to you. So Tim, really appreciate it. And I get more excited every time we have the opportunity to meet, and I have the pleasure of, just getting, hearing you and where the company's gone over the years. It's very exciting.
Yeah, and I'll also just mention we do have regular Q&A sessions with our executive team, and we publicize those. So we just had one on the 6th. I think our next one is February 3rd. And so there's lots of ways to get in contact with us. Email, we're happy to answer questions.
Tim, really appreciate that. Thank you. And next, I'd like to introduce Brooks Bash, CEO of O2 Boost, and Leslie Peters, President. And Brooks, I'm told you're going to be taking the lead on this. So why don't you come on in here and tell everyone what you've been working on at O2 Boost. And just for context here, everyone, I met Brooks through a mutual friend of ours. And I think when you hear about the company, the timeliness of what they're doing with COVID going on, everything going around this winter between flu season, it's really exciting. So Brooks, thank you so much for taking the time to join us, and tell everyone what you're working on at O2 Boost.
So thank you, Tom. I appreciate it. And thanks for everybody for joining us today. This is an amazing journey that we're on, as you just indicated. And in fact, one of the questions that came in about what was your personal inspiration and inspiration in the company, I might just start right there, because for me, I've had a great career and led a lot of organizations and companies, but this is about giving back, because our technology is ground changing, worldwide, shaping. It'll change the face of medicine. We believe that, and we've already, to a certain extent, proven that it has the potential to do that. O2 Boost LLC has a unique technology that is patented, that no one else has, and it actually contains diatomic oxygen inside it. And that oxygen can be used in the human body for numerous things, for energy, fitness, and quality of life. We've not only got the patents for that, but we have scientifically peer-reviewed journals that prove that that's a fact, and there's no other products out there that have this. So the question for the investors is, okay, so what does this mean from a commercial perspective? Of course, the scientists have proven that oxygen is in it, and it's because of a technology called OX66 that O2 Boost has the exclusive rights to use. When ingested, and in our product that we're already commercializing, and in fact, I'm looking at sales that we've had today, people take it orally and have a lot of various benefits that to include immunity, energy, and increased oxygen for performance enhancement and any kind of respiratory issue, because what we know is that this actually oxygenates the cells, tissues, and organs. So So why is that important? Well, oxygen is the key to life. Every person, plant, animal needs oxygen to live, and that's measured in minutes. We know that. At any given time, the human body may not have the optimum amount of oxygen due to various reasons, whether that be illness, disease, performance reasons. Maybe someone's climbing a mountain or at altitude. With COVID recently, people know about the silent hypoxia. All those sorts of things cause us to not have the optimum amount of oxygen. So you can supplement that with this product, and it actually increases the oxygen level in your body separate from what your lungs are delivering oxygen for. So every person needs oxygen, and every person needs the optimum amount of oxygen. So whether you're an elite athlete, a fitness guru, or you're getting elderly, or your fitness levels are not what they want to be, this will help. Incredibly, since we rolled out this product in just this last year in May, we've had an enormous amount of unsolicited testimonials, which is really kind of cool. People will write in and say, this has changed my life, or this has saved my life, or this has made such a difference in my quality of life. It's given me energy. And the reason that it is because the molecule that we've created inside that molecule is trapped diatomic oxygen, which is then released inside the body. And so then that migrates into the bloodstream. And one report that we've seen estimates that maybe up to 1,000 times greater amount of oxygen at the point where this molecule opens up, which is ground changing. And even at the cellular level, it's causing your body to get more energy that it needs to heal itself, because the human body is the best healer of itself. And so from an immunity perspective, this product allows your body to be optimum for taking care of those things that are coming up. And if you do get sick or ill or have disease such as asthma or anything else like that, it is supplementing the oxygen that you may need. We've been researching this for over the past 10 years with a tier 1 university, and literally have put millions of dollars of research into it. So this is not a flash in the pan type of technology. This is a technology that we've really worked hard to prove the safety and the efficacy that it actually works in the human body. And as I mentioned, with peer-reviewed articles and journals. And even in the last year, we continue to do research to improve our understanding and the potential of this product. People ask about what's your market? How do I understand where you might be targeting this market? Well, the oral nutraceutical market is the market that we're in right now. In the respiratory area, globally, that market, for items that will improve, respiratory distress, that's a $143 billion market. The dietary supplement market is a $152 billion market, and the sports and energy market, think Gatorade, is a $200 billion market. So I learned a long time ago that a small percentage of a large number is still a really large number. So even if we penetrate fractionally into these markets, which the current product and our family of products will be able to do, the potential for this product to grow is incredible. The use of funds for us right now is to expand our marketing and to start to roll out this family of products that we have. The oral capsule that we have right now. The next one will be a stick pack. But then we're also expanding the market internationally. We're in active conversations right now with 2 entities overseas. We're talking to professionals on a physician platform. We've got a great team of folks here that are experienced and excited about this product to truly work together with your investment and partnership. And I'll just end this segment here by inviting you to come along on the journey, because this is an incredible thing that 5 years from now, you're going to wish that you'd been involved in it, because you're going to say, wow, this is a game changer.
Brooks, really appreciate that. And I've learned so much from working with you. And one of the questions is what I originally had when we started our engagement at Netcapital, but was just with COVID and how you came up with this and really not only with the idea, but with respiratory, right? Because obviously when COVID hits the body, it's one of the things it attacks, but we're talking about asthma and so many more things that there's benefit here with O2 boost. But Was the idea thought of before COVID for O2 Boost? Is this person's first question?
Not specifically for COVID, but for virals. Yes. I mean, one of our patents actually addresses respiratory distress. And when COVID came along, the thought was, wow. So we pivoted and we started doing some very specific research in respiratory distress. And the results of that have been fantastic. And we've already have 2 published articles just within the last year on that alone. And so what's really unique about it is it's delivering oxygen outside the respiratory system, which is compromised, whether that be through asthma, COPD, COVID, or any other thing that might be causing the disadvantage that you might have.
Thanks, Brooks. And the second question from this individual is about going to market. And Brooks, just so I heard you correctly, did the company go to market in May? That's the question.
Yes, in May, we did a soft launch in May, and we've got our fulfillment center, our call center. We've got feedback from customers. And so we've worked through all those initial setup things. And right now, as I mentioned, since we've been on the call, I think we've sold a few bottles of it. And so we're actively selling. And what we want to do is expand our marketing reach and really target our marketing to a very specific group of people. Some of the 25 to 55 age group, as well as professionals and clinicians. We've just recently brought a physician under our medical board, and he has a consortium of doctors that have agreed to start rolling this out in their offices, as well as a professional platform that has a nationwide network of physicians and clinicians on it. So those is happening this week. In fact, we hope. We just had a discussion last week on that.
Brooks, it's like you're reading the questions because this rolls right into the next one. It's about scalability. In the first 2 quarters of this year, what are you most excited about scaling O2 Boost, and what is the plan to get this in as many hands as possible?
Well, yes. So I think a lot of that already. Marketing is key, right? And I think the second step of that is expansion into the international markets, as I mentioned, and the professional markets. Right now, we're business to consumer direct. We just brought on a distributor for business to business, and then they'll start distributing the international markets with business to business also, and they'll start marketing the product, from their perspective. So up to date now, it's been direct business to consumer, which has given us that great feedback with the consumer, and now we're ready to go business to business.
Brooks, last question is, have you obtained the patents needed? Because we know you said the company does have patents. Have you obtained the patents needed for this businesses, or do you have any patents that are pending?
We actually might have 1 or 2 patents pending, but we have a portfolio of 47 patents. So that's a core of about 9 or 10, and then a lot of international ones associated with the major countries around the world, so that we can protect the product. But the ones that are pending are really kind of an expansion into other verticals that are down the road. In fact, there's some space applications and fuel applications that we're not focused on right now, because right now we want to generate revenue. We want to get a return on investment for our consumers. One of the key questions they always want to know is how do I get my money back? What is it? And I fully appreciate that as an investor. There's really 3 ways. First of all, as we make money, there's a chance for dividends to bring people back to whole. But ultimately, because we have the product and the technology and the exclusive license, we can, once we grow this, we can then have 2 different exits. We can either do an IPO or we can be acquired. And the timeline for that is not your typical 7 to 9 years, because that's a timeline for a company that's starting out from scratch. But since we're already in the market, I could see that happening, and you hate to put numbers on it, but in much nearer time frame than that.
Brooks, really appreciate it. And it's just having worked with you for a few months, but understanding the body of work over the past few years, the company's moved at an extremely fast pace. And I'm personally really excited to see what 2023 holds and then beyond. And really look forward to watching your company grow. So really appreciate you being here with us today. And as we move to the final phase of this demo day, I just want to remind everyone, you've heard from Steve, Tim, and Brooks about their companies, 3 amazing companies that we at Netcapital have the privilege of working with these founders and hosting for Open Investment Opportunity. I've dropped each link to each of these companies in the chat. You can also go to netcapital.com, as each of these three founders are raising actively on the platform right now. This brings us into our final phase of the January 2023 demo day, and we're going to start with Brooks from O2 Boost. Each one of our founders will have the opportunity to just give a few minutes on why someone should consider investing in the company in this exciting time in the markets that each of these individual companies are in. So with that, Brooks, the floor is yours.
Okay, well, thank you, Tom. And, I think I'll wrap it up with the way I started. For me and for the company, this is a journey that is really going to change the face of medicine. And if we do that, the rewards for those that invest are going to be significant, both personally because they've been a part of something that's bigger than themselves, but financially because at the end of the day, we truly believe that this is going to be a really large exit when we get to that point. But absent that, I think that we really just enjoy having investors that give us feedback and can contribute to the journey that we're on, because this technology doesn't exist anywhere else in the world, and we have it patented, and it's going to take the world by a storm. It's pretty exciting to watch and to be a part of marshaling this out. I'll also just note that we just announced, I think today, that in about 2 weeks is when we're going to end our capital raise, for this company. So if you're inclined to invest, I am free to take a phone call, an email. Leslie, the same. I want to talk to you personally. I want to know what your questions are, what your interests are, and I want to bring you on board as a partner in this journey.
Brooks, really appreciate you taking the time, as I mentioned before. And as Brooks mentioned, you got about 2 weeks to invest. Netcapital.com/O2Boost. Also put the link in the chat if you're interested in doing so. Brooks, thank you for being here. Leslie, thank you as well. And looking forward to these next couple of weeks with you guys. Next, Tim, Orbital Assembly. Talk to us about why is the time to invest and why folks should consider doing so via Netcapital. Yeah,
thanks for that. And once again, thank you for this opportunity, Thomas, and for everybody who's tuned in today. This has been great, and it's nice to meet Brooks and Steve. I think just in closing, I just reiterate, Orbital Assembly is on the leading edge of what Bank of America, I think, conservatively estimates as a $1.4 trillion industry by the year 2030. And so investing now gets you in on the ground floor of what is going to be a exciting wild ride over the next couple decades. And why Orbital Assembly in particular? Well, we have the experienced team with dozens of successful space missions. We have agreements with over 60 key industry partners and customers. We have proprietary IP and patents pending that will allow us to reach near-term profitability. And another factor is we're the leaders in the development of artificial gravity systems. We've spent years on the development of these systems, working most recently with former NASA astronaut Dr. Mae Jemison, and also working with UC Irvine, and developing systems and platforms where people can live, work, and thrive in space. I didn't even talk about the challenges of microgravity today. Gravity is a whole other topic. We can talk for hours on that. So yeah, in closing, I just say that now is the time to increase access to space. We're really at a pivotal moment in space technology. And we would love, like Brooks said, to have you be a partner with us in that journey. And we contribute. Let us know how you want to help. We're all ears.
Tim, really appreciate that. Thank you very much. And last but certainly not least, Steve, founder and CEO of BNano. Steve, a couple minutes here on why folks should consider investing.
It's really exciting, and it's a privilege to be part of a material science company. If you think about just human history, the times have been defined by the materials that we use: the Stone Age, the Iron Age, Bronze Age. And I believe we're in an age where nanotechnology is really going to deliver the promises that it's made. And we are poised to do that. We have a technology that's proven. Our materials technology works. We have the patents, it's protected. We have been developing products. So we not only make this core technology, but we're developing products that we can put directly into our customers' hands. And we're really excited by that. We've had significant growth over the last 3 years. So we've shown that, we have something that people want, and we no longer have to prove the technology. It's time to grow the business. So it's the time to get in, and our team is phenomenal, right? We have not only excellent scientists and engineers, but we have diplomats, we have defense folks. I would invite people to go to our webpage and see the list of advisors that we have behind the scenes. It's an incredible group of people that have confidence in us. And we are helping enable and solve challenges in things like hypersonic travel and space and going to the bottom of the ocean and going to the moon and going back to Mars and in green energy. So we've really just scratched the surface with what we can do. And we've also learned so much from the crowd, right? We not only have had investors through Netcapital, but we've had people to introduce us to customers, and we've had investors become advisors. So the power of the crowd is something that we believe in. We've been funded by friends and family and the crowd exclusively thus far. And we are very proud to be part of that movement. And I think it's a phenomenal way to empower individuals moving forward. We would welcome any questions on their chat boards. We try to answer them pretty quick. And we look forward to engaging with the crowd in the future. So thank you very much for giving us this chance and for being part of Netcapital. So thank you.
No, Steve, thank you very much. And I mean, I have the best job in the world, because getting to sit on these webinars and demo days with literally 3 companies right now that have the opportunity to change the world in their respective fields is it's incredible. So Brooks, Steve, Tim, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. To everyone who tuned in, thank you. This was a very engaged demo day that and personally, that's how I like them. That's how we like them at Netcapital. So thank you for the great questions. But to you 3 and Leslie, you as well, thank you so much for taking the time. And then lastly, I'll just say netcapital.com. Each one of these companies, BN Nano, O2 Boost, Orbital Assembly, are actively raising capital right now. If you'd like to view the investment offering, please click their pages, and you can do so today. Thank you very much, and we will see you guys in February. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.